kind of dry, choked breaths come to you, Soren, as you awaken very weak.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing that you remember were footsteps approaching, and as your kind of senses start to come back to you, you just hear the very kind of distant howling of the wind. In the immediate proximity, you kind of, your hands feel solid stone. It feels like not quite level, but you're like laid out on some sort of slab, and like open your eyes, and there's no light in here.
Is my solar moat around here?
As you come to consciousness, you kind of see you kind of slowly coming into existence, kind of off to the side of, when you're laying down. You see the solar moat kind of appear, and as it materializes, it does cast some dim light in the area. Looks to be that you're in a room that's probably about 10 by 10. Looks like it's carved out of stone, very roughly carved. It seems like while it's sheltered, you're not really sure kind of like the details on it. You look off as you kind of like push yourself up a little bit into like a seated position. You see off to your left, your right being up against the wall. To the left, you see what appears to be a metal door. It's closed.
I guess I'll try to get up and move towards the door. Actually, is there any like water to drink?
Perception check.
Good.
Don't drink piss.
Right. 15.
Looking around the room, you see that where you were laying, there's like no cover or like your bed. Like this is just a rock slab, and very roughly hewn at that. It looks like the shape of maybe something that like you could rest on, but it's really not comfortable. You're not sure if the pain in your back is from like exertion or from just like sleeping on basically like two different 45-degree angle planes.
Or falling out of a train.
Or falling out of a train. Which is now starting to come to your mind, and as well as other recent events that have come to pass. The room has a sand floor in it. There's no other things in the room. You see the kind of broken remains of parts of your armor kind of in the corner. And just looking at it, I mean, it's as you kind of notice now as well as before, completely destroyed.
I still have parts of my armor stuck inside. Or is that removed?
As you kind of like reach down and you feel the place where they were before, you kind of see that there's very rough bandages that have been wrapped over some large portions, and
I put the
doesn't look like there's any
this on
pieces,
8-4-2-2.
but I mean it's hard to tell really. Like it's a mixture of kind of dehydration, delirium, and like you're very sure like a very serious kind of like head wound.
Where this number was?
I just
That
imagine, yeah.
that's good.
Yep.
Okay. That probably you'll need to very well get checked out. Like you're in very rough shape. But yeah, I mean it's a very stark kind of room that you find yourself in.
I guess before I do anything else, I want to use my sidereal influence and switch to graviton to improve my sense more. So if I talk to anyone whoever saved me, figure out what's going on. And then after that, I want to examine that metal door.
Okay. I mean, you go up to it. There's no visual kind of like window or anything. It's just solid metal. The frame is built into the rock, so you're not even sure if it's got, hinges or how it operates. There's no knob of any kind on your side, or electronics that you can see for that matter.
I knock on the door.
No response.
Knock a little harder. Nothing.
Listening. Still nothing.
Shave and a haircut. And listen for the 2 bits.
I'm sorry. What?
I'm gonna knock, shave, and a haircut. But I'm gonna listen for the 2 bits. It's gonna go boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 boom.
Very long, drawn out. And you hear a as the door kind of like very quickly gets pushed open, and the door, unfortunately, you don't get out of the way in time. So like
Oh,
like the response is the door evidently being unlocked, and the last note, the door hitting you kind of in the temple as you like stumble backwards and you like fall flat on your ass, and they're standing in the doorway, which it's about 8 feet tall. Like it almost goes to like the ceiling.
The door or the guy?
The door. Well, the door, is that large. It's about 8 feet, and towering on the opposite side of the doorway, almost touching the top of the door frame, is a very large, very mean-looking Vesk. And he kind of steps into the room, and he like kind of walks up to where you're like sitting down, and he kind of looks at you. So, the desert has not taken you, I see.
Guess not.
What is your name?
So, what's yours?
I will be asking you questions.
Okay.
Sit. He like points to the slab.
Gonna get up and make a extra show about how much I'm hurting. Sit down.
You hear kind of a sound of disgust as you like shuffle yourself back up. Taking a look now as you turn around, you see that this Vesk, he has
All this.
very numerous scars across kind of like the side of his face. You see like what appears to be like 4 very deep scar lines across his face, and numerous ones on his kind of forearms. What appears to be like burn marks and things like that, but they all seem to have healed. But obviously they're very scarred flesh, and the rest of it is very deep kind of slate gray scales. And as he looks down at you with his arm, just very large arms kind of crossed, you see that he's wearing this like kind of hide armor, it looks like, of some kind, with like a mixing kind of metal mesh and support works underneath it. But I mean, it looks sort of what you would think like a space age version of like reinforced leather armor would look like, kind of. And as you sit down, he kind of stares at you. There's a long, kind of drawn out silence as all you can hear now is with a little bit more clarity the howling of the wind, and after a moment he kind of, so what left you in the condition that you were in?
Fell out of a hover train with my companion. And unfortunately, my companion didn't make it.
Well, Moratosh is not kind, but you fell out of the train.
Yep.
How frail are you to have sustained such injuries?
No, I'm not a Vex.
As much is true. All the same, a warrior would not sustain such injuries simply by falling down.
We're going pretty fast.
Well, evidently there are things that you must still do if you are still standing from your feeble fall. What were you doing out in the desert?
I got a job to run some supplies to a settlement. Got attacked by bandits. Fell over the side of the train.
Did you slay them?
And
Did you actually kill anybody?
You killed the whole.
I killed the whole car.
Yeah, you
Okay.
made the car spiral out with some awesome rolls. Yeah, it tumbled
That was
hard.
a
He
nat
gives
20,
you,
wasn't
he
it?
gives you a
Yep.
very
That
kind
was
of
a
like,
nat 20.
he gives you a very piercing kind of gaze as he kind of
Give
like,
it back.
I mean, it's very hard to kind of hold an aggressive or like firm stance with like how much you're in pain, but you do well enough. And I mean, with him towering now, like as you're sitting, he's about 4 feet vertical above you,
Yep.
and he's just kind of like looking down at you. And again, there's like another long kind of drawn out moment, and kind of, well, if you have fallen out of train and were able to slay enemies, perhaps you maybe have destiny to thank, not only for where you fell, but for surviving and being able to continue the great combat.
Well, I'm very hard to kill.
We will see. And he kind of turns.
What
and
does
like,
that mean?
He kind of walks out of the door. And he like leaves it open. And he like turns and kind of looks at you. Come.
I get up and follow him.
I'm arriving.
All right. So you
All right.
get out into a hallway that's very similar to the room that you were in. It's very red stone. The kind of architecture of it looks like it. I mean, it looks like it was just roughly hewn rooms and hallways that have been sandblasted by time, and it seems like whatever original construction occurred for this like hallway that you're kind of like walking down, and you see similar rooms, and you hear just very kind of strange kind of noises, and it sounds kind of like beasts in some noises like you never heard before of animals that you're not even sure you've encountered. And as you get near the end of the hallway, you see that the opening, you can see the bright kind of piercing light as you kind of walk out, and you kind of have to shield your eyes because you don't have environmental protections anymore, and the sun is now high in the sky. As your eyes adjust, you see you're walking out of what appears to be a broken kind of structure that's built into the side of a rock formation behind you. As you turn, you see what appears to be a half-circled amphitheater that has a very large pit in the middle, and what looks to be one section of the kind of steps and like the seats just hewn out in one direction. You see, to your left and to your right, there's other jagged kind of like what looks to be passes through the rocks, and you can hear kind of above and kind of whistling through the very loud sounds of the wind itself. And as you're going out into this area, you see several shabhads, the large figures that you were fighting before, kind of standing on some standing on the platform, like on the raised steps above, and looking down at several Vesk, humans, Kasathis, all in very kind of rough-looking armor, in mid-combat, and all there's very large kind of amounts of a cacophony of grunts and fucking sounds of pain as
In the Thunderdome?
strikes are being laid into other people. You don't see any other people in the stands except for one Shabhad who's sitting kind of opposite of where you are in the what appears to be middle section, and is just kind of a very large rifle as it's now just kind of like staring around the arena. And as the Vesk leads you more out into this sand area, you see the Shabhad kind of look up, see you, and just gives the rifle two stomps, and everybody just stops mid combat, and they all kind of look up at the Shabhad, and the Shabhad stands up And you see now there's like kind of the platform that they're on, which is probably about like 30 feet up from the sand level. And there's kind of like rough, like what looks to be maybe drifts of sand. Shabhad just kind of like jumps down and like lands 30 feet down and just big kind of gout of sand as the large figure kind of extends back up. And from this distance, you're probably about 100 feet away. It's still just is towering as it kind of walks around your right side of the arena, walking through some of the other figures. And you see now the Shabhad has this rifle that probably looks to be about as big as you vertically, held in its two left hands, because they have four sets of or 4 arms, so 2 sets, one on each side. And they're walking through, seems to be talking, conversing to some of the other figures. Still a ways off. The vest kind of looks at you. Well, we shall see exactly what will become of you once Collect decides. And he kind of steps kind of next to you and just kind of like pushes you very not gently towards where, kind of to walk up to where the Shabhad is walking up to you.
Alright. I guess I'll meet him.
Alright. So as you kind of approach, this figure is very, very large. Probably about 12 feet tall. You see what appears to be, 2 very large tusks out of the sides of the face. You see similar kind of hide armor, but this seems more ornate. You see long, kind of ceremonial-looking sashes. But you see over the armor far more scars, like slashes, grooves, blast marks. Just looking at it, it doesn't seem like it's being held together by anything except, like the will that seems to be exerted from this figure. And as the Shabhad finally kind of steps up to you, and it's like a very intimate, like 2 feet away from you, just because now you have to like actually like look up as they like look down at you, and looks at the desk. So, this is the one. The desk kind of gives like a on the armor, and dust kind of flies in the direction. Yes. I believe the Grim Commander has need of more recruits in this one, while supposedly getting in the condition that he's in due to not honorable terms. It claims to be a warrior of some claim might.
Do the chest pound after he says that.
Yeah,
Get my own desk club going and just
pull out the hanky and
you do.
No.
He doesn't have any.
I don't
I
have
was
a
gonna say
hanky.
you have
All my
very
hankies got
you
destroyed.
have
in the
very
crash.
tattered, like right now, you have very tattered kind of linens on. And they're very primitive kind of looking. And as you look around, you see all the other figures that aren't Shabhads have similar ones on.
Okay.
The only people that seem to have armor are the ones in the stands,
The cool guys.
the one in front of you, and the vest next to you.
Do I recognize these guys at all? These aren't the bandits that attacked us, are they?
Give me a perception check.
16. So it's 16.
Perception. There it is. 16, 23.
23?
Sure.
They seem to have similar weaponry, but they I don't know. I mean, you kind of got a very quick look at them, so they look different, but you're not sure. I mean, there was no insignias really to kind of indicate one way or the other that the bandits had on.
Right.
But I mean, could be.
Oh boy. I guess keep my head down again, or keep my ears open, I guess.
Keep your ears open for, like, I mean, are you just, like, listening, or what are you doing?
Well, I just want to make sure that, like, they're not going to stab me in the back if they are those bandits.
Well, I mean,
So they took out a whole car load of them.
Oh, okay, but I mean, you don't have any weapons. You have...
I got the little floaty guy.
Right, yeah, you have that. So, I mean, are you, like, taking out your solar weapon? What do you, I mean, like, are you
Unless
initiating...
I'm under attack, right?
Right, that's what I'm asking, is what are you doing right now?
I guess I'm just going to keep
The
my...
Shabbat in the Vesk, and at this point, all of the rest of the amphitheater are looking at you.
Right.
Because you gave them the
Yeah.
kind of slap.
I don't know, I guess just see what he wants to do next. See what he's going to say next.
Okay. So, after a couple kind of very, getting for you, awkward moments, they seem to be just
Kind
still
of slow.
watching you.
Do you want me to do something? Ask the guy.
Well, destiny seems to bring you to us. Demoratosh commands all combat, and as the Grim Commander dictates. Any Grim Commander? Give me a religion check.
8. Do we have culture, or is there an actual religion?
Is there actually a religion? No, there's not. It'd be a culture check, yeah, sorry. 8? I mean, it seems like they're referring to some sort of, higher figure. You're not sure what it is. You've never heard of Demoratosh.
Can I ask him who Demoratosh is?
They kind of look at you. You call yourself a warrior, and you know not of the Conqueror.
I've been frozen for God knows how long.
The Shabbat kind of looks at the vest.
They're just gonna get their minds blown.
I was frozen today. Are your eyes bad? Do you not hear clearly? This one is no warrior. This one is an idiot.
Get wrecked, kid.
Those are fighting words from where I come from.
You say that?
No. Hell no.
Okay, well, I'll
Just say
I'll
actions
okay.
speak louder
No,
than words.
no.
Actions speak louder than words, that's what I'll say.
Actions speak louder than words. Well, you will need to prove through action that you deserve to still stand among the living.
Okay.
Will you take part?
What do I have to do?
Pants down.
Kind of laughs.
Turn your head and cough.
The right of warring seems to be upon us now, as the Conqueror demands the chaff be laid low. You have a choice. We can allow you to take part in this rite, or the guy extends its two right arms out to one of the gaps. You can return to the desert. And Akaton will do with you what he will.
I suppose there's a third option where I just hang out until I'm better and then I, skedaddle back to my compatriots.
The Vesk kind of, in a flash, brings a very large knife up to your neck, and the Shabbat says, "There's always the option that we end you."
Oh. Fair enough. I want to try to gingerly push the knife away.
You try to push. Nope.
Just
I mean,
tap his hand. Just tap it. Alright, let's do the first thing.
You feel him very lightly nick your neck. Not anything serious, but there's blood that starts to run down.
I can cut yourself shaving.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Intentionally cut yourself shaving.
Yep.
There we
You
are.
don't do that. Just make sure you're alive.
Yeah.
So,
I'm good.
I
you will take part in the rite of order. We will allow you, since you seem to be ill-equipped, to use the same provisions that we provide to the other acolytes. But know this, if you die in the arena, that means that
died in real life.
Demoratosh willed it, and his will is supreme.
Fair enough.
And Shabbat kind of like nods to the desk, and he kind of turns you and like starts pushing you back towards the way you guys came, back into the hallway.
You'll
So-
get to rest up before your fight.
Oh.
They won't throw an injured dog into the ring.
It'd be hilarious. It's like, all right, go for it.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
He does. He does.
So as you kind of walk and like turn around, you can kind of see like the Shabbat now is turned, and you hear one more, still equally loud in the dust, and the combat resumes.
I thought he was gonna sound like Mike Tyson at first. That was so funny.
Who do you think you are?
So you come to our arena.
You wish to join in this sacred rite? Only if I allow you entry. Entry? Now, Kiev.
So
In my pigeon
you're
form.
led to
I'm gonna make you a favor.
different room that you see now is further down the hallway.
He said that to a guy.
Than where your room originally was. And
I'll
in
make
this
you love
room,
me.
there appears to be several very kind of injured individuals that are like strewn up on slabs similar to yours. And you see what appear kind of walking in between them a Sheeran, who, as the vest kind of brings you in, there's one back there, and kind of resumes kind of looking at the other figures as the vest leads you to one of the slabs in the back, and kind of points and like just indicates for you to sit.
Sit.
Sit, Ubu, sit.
After a second, the Sheeran comes over. So, what is this one for? And he, without looking up, he's just kind of like flipping through like what appears to be a data slate. As the Vesk kind of like looks you over, he is to take the right, and the Sheeran kind of stops, looks up at you, looks at the Vesk. So he's taking the right. In this condition,
I just kind of like shrug.
why do you bring him to me? Why do you feel he needs to be patched up if you're putting him through that? And the Vesk,
It's not honorable to find an injured person.
we will allow him to heal from his injuries.
Thank you.
You're so pleasant.
He just kind of
Love
looks
it.
at you and just
It's like he's going through the
Call me
introductory
when
tour
he's
of like a resort.
ready. And
He was
just
tennis
kind of
court,
like walks out of the
8
room.
to 5.
So the
bar.
The lessons
Sheeran
aren't
now
too
kind of comes over and very roughly kind of gives you like a once over, just like looking at, just like grabbing you by the jaw. You can feel like the very barbed kind of hand as
I've felt those before.
you move back and forth, kind of like pokes you in the rib where like the bandage immediately starts to kind of like grow red. You're going to take the right, and you expect to, what, survive in this condition? What am I supposed to do with you?
Fix me? I don't know.
You don't seem to be an acolyte. Who are you?
I was a guy that was on taking a job. Bandits attack. Fall off the train. Here I am.
Okay,
Is that his?
I was merely asking for your name. I don't care about your story, where you've been or where you're coming from.
Okay.
My name is my name.
Whatever.
My duty is to make you fit for battle. And kind of, in a half step backward, kind of pulls what appears to be a very small, kind of like long kind of like rod inside, and it starts moving its hands, and you start seeing these lifts kind of forming in the air in front of you. As,
Show off.
as you kind of see the glyphs forming, you can feel your injuries starting to heal, and like as the glyphs kind of fade, the Sheeran kind of pushes its hand through the glyph and like grabs you by the face and like kind of turns you sideways and like plants you down, and is just kind of like looking at you now and is like, believe me, your wounds are not as easily healed, and kind of reaches into its pack and like grabs out a similar looking kind of injection device as you've seen Zedix use before, and you feel as it like stabs you right in the neck.
Fancy
Not-
clips just for
there's
an
no,
injection.
you're really not sensing any bedside manner as you go back up to half of your hit point maximum through the combined magics and technical healing, it looks like.
Did I get any resolve points back from that?
Rough now.
Don't think so.
In this case, kind of looks you over once more, has the light like from its wrist device kind of like in your face, super blinding considering you're going from like dark room to bright outside back in here. Kind of looks at you just once more, kind of turns your head. Well, I've done all I can. If the Conqueror is willing, he'll provide you with the strength you need to survive. If not, well, you just weren't strong enough. And kind of, with that, just kind of turns and like walks to the other figures. And you're just kind of laying there for the moment. Are you covering resolve points? I believe is going to be
It's a long.
taking a long rest. In this case, I mean, they don't seem to be doing anything at the moment. So, yeah, in this situation, you'll be getting the effects of a long rest, if you so wish. Just because there's not a really narrative way to kind of describe it. It looks like they're letting you kind of like rest for the time being. So. In this case, you'll be getting that long rest. So, as you're doing that, listen.
Kid!
How many?
I'm like the oldest person here.
How much stuff did I get back?
What do you mean?
Resolve points.
Big kid.
Big kid.
I don't call you big kid? Like, come on.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna be kid
course.
regardless.
Big kid.
Big kid!
Well, in this case, it's going to be some of those result points back, and not all of your HP. So we'll figure that out. We'll actually take just a break while we do that, and then we'll be coming back to you guys kind of as you're traveling.